Someone came for you at midnight, confident it would be an easy win, but they underestimated your strength and resilience. Their raid turned out to be the biggest mistake they ever made. They thought they could catch you off guard. But what they didn't realize is that you're not someone who breaks under pressure. When they attacked, they awakened a force within you that refused to back down. The result? None of them made it back. This isn't just about survival. It's about proving that when you're pushed to the edge, you become unstoppable. Their attempt to take you down only made you stronger, sharper, and more determined than ever. If this message hits home for you, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 5,000 subscribers, and leave a comment to show your support. Together, we're building a community of warriors who refuse to be defeated. Under the cloak of midnight, they crept forward, certain that the darkness would shield their every move. They thought their surprise attack would be swift and effortless, like a thief in the night, snatching away a fragile prize. What they failed to understand was that you were no fragile prize, and the night itself was about to fuel a fire they had no chance of extinguishing. There is a certain arrogance in believing someone can be silenced without consequence, especially under the veil of darkness. That arrogance, fueled by overconfidence, became their downfall. The silent hours that were meant to bring them victory instead became a stage for reckoning. When they raided your life, they unknowingly stirred a storm that had been quietly building within you, a storm fueled by every slight, every betrayal, every doubt ever cast your way. Their steps, once confident and calculated, soon faltered in the face of your unyielding spirit. What they thought was an easy conquest became a brutal awakening. History teaches us, time and time again, that those who underestimate the strength of their targets do so at their own peril. Like the fabled Spartan warriors, whose resilience turned the tide of battles, you embodied a warrior's spirit, molded by adversity. The night was your battleground, and their ignorance was your greatest weapon. The ambush they orchestrated was not a sign of your weakness, but the spark that ignited your fiercest response. When the dust settled, none of them remained standing. Their fatal mistake was not just the raid itself, but the belief that their actions would go unanswered. What they failed to see was that every attack leaves an echo. And in your case, that echo roared back louder than any shout. This was the deadliest error they ever made, and it sealed their fate forever. Remember this moment, the night they thought they were hunters, only to become the hunted. Because sometimes the darkest hours reveal the brightest flames, and you are the fire they will never forget. Shadows have long been symbols of stealth and secrecy, but when they strike, the consequences can be far more than anyone anticipates. They moved like shadows, silent, unseen, hoping to erase you from existence without a trace. Yet shadows are deceptive. They hide more than they reveal, and when provoked, they can engulf everything in darkness. This was no ordinary raid. It was a collision between invisible forces and unbreakable will. What those who attacked you didn't understand is that shadows can't exist without light, and every attempt to snuff out your light only strengthened it. Their raid was an act of aggression meant to silence, but instead it awakened something far more potent. Like a blacksmith hammering iron, pressure created the strength they sought to break. Their shadows struck, but you were no ordinary target. You were a beacon that refused to be dimmed. The raid backfired because it underestimated the essence of who you are. It ignored the battles you had already won, the scars you bore as medals of survival, and the quiet power you wielded beneath the surface. You were not a victim caught off guard. You were a warrior in waiting, and their shadows only illuminated your readiness to fight back harder than ever before. This raid serves as a timeless reminder. Attacking those forged in adversity is a gamble with consequences. The enemy thought they could strike in silence, but silence is never empty. It is filled with the sound of the storm brewing beneath, and when it breaks, no shadow can escape the blinding force of your wrath. So when shadows strike again, remember, the light they tried to extinguish only burns brighter, fiercer, and more unstoppable than ever. There's a cruel irony in trying to erase someone's existence. The very act of obliteration often writes a new chapter of unyielding strength and resilience. They believe that by raiding your life, they could wipe you out like a fading memory or a whisper lost in the wind. But instead of erasing you, they only etched your name deeper into the annals of survival and vengeance. Their attempt to silence you became the catalyst for a fate far worse than they imagined. Every attempt to erase a person leaves behind traces of resistance, and in your case, those traces turned into a blazing path of retribution. Think of the phoenix, burning to ashes, only to rise more magnificent than before. That is your story. Their actions were not the end. They were the prologue to a narrative filled with power, courage, and unstoppable force. You became a living testament to the fact that true strength cannot be deleted. Fate has a strange way of balancing the scales. By trying to erase you, they sealed their own doom. It's a universal truth that those who wield destruction often become consumed by it. The raid meant to break you instead forged you into a storm that swept away every last one of them. Their fate was intertwined with your survival, and in their failure, your triumph was born. This is not just a story about survival, it's a story about rewriting destiny. You didn't just survive the raid, you transformed it into a message for all who dare cross your path. You are the force that cannot be erased, the echo that refuses to fade, and the fate they never saw coming. They counted on your silence, on your invisibility, on the idea that you could be pushed aside and forgotten. But invisibility is a fragile illusion, and silence can be a powerful roar waiting to erupt. Their raid was an attempt to keep you in the shadows, but you shattered that illusion, emerging not just seen, but impossible to ignore. What they tried to silence became the voice that shook their foundations. Rising from silence is never easy. It requires more than just survival. It demands transformation. Your rise was not accidental. It was a deliberate response to betrayal and adversity. Like a tightly coiled spring, you gathered energy and strength in the depths of their darkness until the moment you burst forth with undeniable force. Their raid was the spark, but you became the wildfire that consumed all opposition. This transformation is deeply human. Every person who faces betrayal and attempts to be erased feels that sting of invisibility. But within that sting lies a seed of power, one that grows through pain, resilience, and determination. You embody this universal truth. You became a beacon for anyone who has ever been told they don't matter or that they should stay quiet. No longer invisible, your presence is a testament to the human spirit's refusal to be silenced. Your rise is a clarion call to those who feel unseen. Even when attacked, we can emerge stronger, louder, and more unstoppable than ever before. Night is often associated with fear and vulnerability, but for some, it is the very crucible where fire is born. They came under the cover of darkness, expecting weakness, only to find a blaze that outshone the stars. Fire is not merely destruction, it is warmth, light, and transformation. And in your darkest hour, you ignited a fire so fierce that it consumed every threat. This fire is not just metaphorical. It is the culmination of every challenge faced, every wound healed, and every moment of doubt overcome. When the world tries to bury you in darkness, the only way out is through the flames. Your fire flourished because it was fed by struggle, refined by pain, and hardened by resolve. Like the legendary salamander, which thrives in fire, you rose stronger amidst the heat of adversity. Fire in the night is also a warning, a signal that danger is near. The raiders learned this the hard way. Their confidence melted away under the glow of your wrath. What they thought was an easy victory turned into a nightmare from which none escaped. You transformed the night from a place of vulnerability into your battlefield and your throne. Fire is life, destruction, and rebirth all at once. Your story teaches us that darkness is not a place to hide from. It is the very forge where resilience is born. And when you choose to burn bright, no darkness can ever contain you. They thought they could crush you, but pressure does not always break. It often builds. Like diamonds formed deep beneath the earth, your strength is a product of immense pressure and unyielding persistence. Every raid, every betrayal, and every hardship was a force that shaped you into something indestructible, a warrior tempered by trials that would have shattered others. Pressure is a universal force that molds character and destiny. It's the difference between those who crumble and those who rise. In your case, the weight of their attack became the very thing that propelled you forward. Your resilience is not just innate, it is forged through the fires of conflict, refined by struggle, and solidified by resolve. There is beauty in this transformation. Just as steel is strengthened by the hammer's blow, you are stronger because of the adversity faced. The pain, fear, and betrayal served as tools to build the power you now wield with fierce grace. Their raid was a test, a brutal one, but you passed with a force that none could match. This is a story that resonates far beyond the battlefield. It reminds us that pressure, while daunting, can reveal the true depth of human strength. You are living proof that unbreakable power is born not from ease, but from the crucible of challenge. To your enemies, you were a mere target, a victim to be taken down swiftly and silently. But what they failed to realize is that you were never just a target. You were a ticking time bomb, silently counting down to a moment when all their assumptions would explode into chaos. Underneath your calm exterior lay a force waiting to unleash the full weight of its fury. Being underestimated is a double-edged sword. It can lull adversaries into complacency while giving you the advantage of surprise. The raid they launched was a trigger, one they lit without understanding the volatile power hidden beneath your surface. Like a dormant volcano, you had the potential to erupt, shaking the very ground they stood on. Your story reminds us that appearances are deceiving. What seems like vulnerability often masks untold strength and a reservoir of resilience. They saw a target. You were a force of nature. Their mistake was not recognizing the potential for devastation you carried quietly inside. When the bomb finally detonated, the impact was total. Their raid did not end as planned. It ended with their complete downfall. You turned the tables in a way that left no room for survivors, no chance for escape, and no doubt about who truly held the power. Sometimes, the most potent weapon is not the loudest cry or the swiftest sword, but the quietest act of defiance. You stood your ground in silence, absorbing their attacks, never breaking, never yielding. This silent defiance was not weakness. It was the calm before a storm, a deliberate strength that they failed to comprehend until it was too late. Silence can be a fortress. It shields the soul from the poison of doubt and despair. Your refusal to be broken became a quiet roar that echoed louder than any battle cry. In moments when words fail, silence becomes a language of unshakable resolve. They mistook your calm for submission, but it was a signal of your unbreakable spirit. This kind of defiance requires immense courage. To stand silently while under siege demands a strength deeper than physical power. It's a battle fought within, a commitment to oneself that no external force can extinguish. Your silent resistance was a fortress no enemy could breach. When the time came to strike back, that silence shattered the illusion of their control. They discovered too late that beneath your quiet exterior was a warrior who refused to be defeated. Silent defiance became your deadliest weapon, one that ensured no one walked away from their raid alive. Fear is a primal force, one that shapes decisions and seals fates. Your enemies feared you not because of the strength you displayed openly, but because of the unyielding spirit you carried beneath the surface. It is this kind of fear, born from uncertainty and respect, that breaks the bravest of hearts and unravels the most confident plans. They underestimated you, but deep down, they knew you were different. The kind of warrior who doesn't falter under pressure, who doesn't retreat when cornered. That quiet confidence, that refusal to yield, struck terror into their souls. They were haunted, not by what you did, but by what you refused to do, give up, break, or disappear. Fear of the unyielding is fear of the impossible. They could not predict your moves or understand your strength. This unpredictability made you a nightmare they couldn't prepare for. Their raid was an attempt to erase fear, but it only confirmed it. Fear of a power they could not control or defeat. Your story is a powerful reminder that true strength lies not just in what is seen, but in the spirit that refuses to be broken. Fear you inspired was the precursor to your victory, and that fear will forever echo as a warning to those who dare chow. Every attempt they made to tear you down, every raid, every blow, every betrayal was a piece of the puzzle that formed the warrior you are today. They thought they were dismantling you, but they were unknowingly assembling a force far greater than themselves. Pain, struggle, and loss were the building blocks of your transformation. Like a master sculptor chiseling a masterpiece from rough stone, adversity shaped your character and sharpened your resolve. Each scar and hardship was not a sign of defeat, but a testament to your capacity to endure and evolve. The raid was not the end of your story. It was the beginning of your rise from the ashes. This process is both painful and profound. To be broken down and rebuilt takes courage and a willingness to embrace vulnerability. You did not hide from your wounds. You owned them. They became the foundation of your strength and the source of your unstoppable spirit. Your journey teaches us that destruction can birth creation. Sometimes being pieced apart is the necessary path to becoming whole and powerful. You are living proof that warriors are not born, they are forged through fire. Retribution is not just revenge, it is justice served by the hand of those wronged. The raid was the spark that ignited a chain reaction, one that led to a reckoning so complete that none could escape its grasp. What began as an attack on your life transformed into a mission to restore balance and claim what was stolen. Retribution is raw and relentless. It is the manifestation of all the pain, anger, and betrayal channeled into a focused force. Your response was not born of cruelty, but of necessity, a demand that wrongs be righted and that consequences be faced. The raid was the catalyst for this response, and your fury became the instrument of justice. The path of retribution is often misunderstood. It is not about hatred, but about reclaiming power and dignity. In your case, it was the line between victimhood and victory, the moment when you refused to be a casualty and instead became the arbiter of fate. This story serves as a timeless lesson. Every action has consequences, and those who ignite violence must be prepared for the fire that follows. Your retribution was a force of nature, inevitable, unstoppable, and absolute. In the world of conflict, the line between prey and predator is razor thin, and your story is the epitome of crossing that line with fierce determination. They saw you as easy prey, a weak target to be taken down without struggle. But you shattered that illusion, transforming from hunted to hunter in a reversal so complete it left your enemies shattered and defeated. This transformation requires a shift not only in strength, but in mindset. Becoming the predator means embracing power, strategy, and the willingness to take control. You moved beyond survival. You seized the opportunity to dominate the narrative and the battlefield. Your rise from prey to predator is a masterclass in resilience and empowerment. This shift is deeply symbolic. It represents reclaiming agency and refusing to be defined by others' perceptions. You refuse to be the victim of their raid. Instead, you became the force that they could no longer escape. The ultimate role reversal wasn't just physical, it was emotional and psychological. Your journey inspires all who feel hunted or powerless. It is proof that the tables can turn, that the prey can become the fiercest predator, and that strength born from adversity can rewrite any story. There are moments in life when a boundary is crossed, lines drawn in the sand that, once stepped over, change everything forever. Their raid was one such line. What they did was not just an attack, it was a declaration of war against a force far greater than they realized. They crossed a threshold from which there was no return. Crossing this line meant awakening something dormant, unleashing a wrath that would not be silenced or contained. Their actions shattered peace, trust, and the fragile balance that once existed. They thought they could do so without consequence, but consequences have a way of catching up in the most unexpected and devastating ways. This is the power of choice. Once a line is crossed, the game changes. You are no longer bound by past limitations or fears. Your response becomes absolute and uncompromising. Their raid was the point of no return, the moment when your power was unleashed fully and without mercy. This story is a solemn reminder that actions have irreversible consequences. They crossed a line that transformed their raid into a reckoning, and there was no going back. Midnight raids are meant to be swift, silent, and victorious. But theirs became a mistake so grave that it marked the end of their journey. They entered the night with confidence, but they left it with nothing but silence, the silence of defeat, regret, and the finality of loss. This raid was their undoing. Mistakes are often born from underestimation and arrogance. They believed you were vulnerable, that you could be conquered quietly. But every miscalculation, every assumption made in the dark was a thread unraveling the fabric of their fate. The raid, intended to be their triumph, instead scripted their downfall. What makes this raid so unforgettable is the lesson it carries. Never underestimate the heart and spirit of those you seek to destroy. The night that should have been their victory became a graveyard of errors, marking their last moment before oblivion. Their mistake was not just tactical, but existential. Your story is a beacon for anyone who has faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious.